Hello guys, welcome back to part 2 of the introduction to perspectives in human geography. You may all recall that I did part 1 quite some time back, wherein I gave a broad overview of how the geographical thought evolved over time. In part 2, I'll be interacting with you on how geography as a discipline evolved over time. As many of you may be aware, it was Eratosthenes who defined geography for the first time. According to him, geography is a discipline concerned with the description of the Earth's surface as a world of man. But it was Harshon who gave a much rounded and an insightful definition, wherein he defined geography as a discipline concerned with providing accurate, orderly, and rational description and interpretation of the variable features of the Earth's surface. This Earth's surface, a thin zone which extends as far as you can drill down and as far as you can go up, consists of all the endeavor of the humankind, right from the arts to culture to history to geography to physical sciences and almost everything that is related. Obviously, the size of this Earth's surface or this thin zone kept on increasing based on the technological advances, because you could drill down more, you can go up, in fact, so much so that man is now able to go to the outer space as well, and so that's a different thing. So this zone consisted of almost everything as we see, and this, as technology is developing further, we'll be able to drill down much more down and also see much more above the Earth's surface. The definition of the Eratosthenes geography, that it is the description of the Earth's surface as a world of man, actually brought itself as a discipline into a very anomalous situation. Because the nature part was being taken care by the biological sciences and the physical sciences, whereas the human nature and the human interaction was being dealt by the human sciences and the social sciences. So geography as a discipline did not find a place anywhere till geography got established. By the time geography got established, already all the other sciences and the humanities were already well established. To that extent, geography, in spite of being a very old discipline, was a late starter. It was only till Humboldt came, more popular than Napoleon, and he was such a great traveler and one of the greatest scholars of his time, who described geography as a universal science. His persona was also such that whatever he was able to tell or talk about geography stood the test of time around that time. And it was also Ritter who followed and named geography as Irdukunde, or the earth science. We see that word earth science now in Government of India, where a separate Ministry of Earth Sciences has been set up. But again, confusion of the position of geography amongst various other subjects continued soon after the death of Humboldt. The intellect, till again, three other intellectual geographers, two German, the Friedrich Ratzel and Richthofen, and then we also had Vidal de Blas. They again firmly brought back the origins of geography as an integral study. But again, the geography soon after them again did not find a place, and it continued that struggle of its independent existence as a separate department. The intellectual origins of geography can be traced back to the Greeks and Romans, who considered man as an integral part of nature, and this remained for a very long time till again the changing moods of the society brought in the inevitable debates of man-environment relationship. You can see these debates in terms of environmental determinism and environmental possibilism. You had Aristotle, Alan Semple, Ratzel, Kant, and Huntington, all very firm determinists who pushed the theory of determinism. On the other side, you had Victor Faber, John Fluer, Carl Sauer, and Isaac Bowman, who were pushing the theory of possibilism. Again, it was Bernard Verenius who very distinctly divided geography into physical and human geography, and he also further divided it into general and special geography, that which later got made into the systematic geography and regional geography. But you should not forget that it was Immanuel Kant who actually very eloquently differentiated the geography into the logical geography and the physical geography. It's a very clear-cut twofold classification. So, but for in spite of this classification given by Immanuel Kant and Bernard Verenius, the confusion prevailed over the place of geography in the systematic fields that were arranged for the other subjects. Haggett divided geography as consisting of three main characteristics. One is the location, the other is the land-society relationship, and the third is the regional analysis. Location by far is one of the most important aspects of geography. The main objective of geography is to identify the locations accurately and systematically by the use of maps to show the various phenomena occurring on the Earth's surface accurately on the map through a process of cartography or map making. So this map making is a very important tool of geography, by which you are able to disentangle the various factors involved in the location, and we are able to provide a much systematic and a more economically viable spatial pattern of a particular region. The man-society relationship is another very important aspect, and please remember that the approach and perspective of geography is essentially ecological, in the sense that the ecological relationship or link between man as a part of the society and the environment establishes this ecological link, which is very, very important. And in this society and land relationship, the spatial patterns shift to the ecological linkages between man and environment. And the third aspect, that is the regional analysis, it basically involves identification of regions, their detailed internal morphology, and the ecological links it establishes between one region to the other, both near and far. Basically, there are two approaches to the regional analysis. One is the aerial organization, and the other is a more thematic approach. In the aerial organization, a study of in-depth man and environment relationship is made, wherein in order to formulate general laws which may be applicable to any other place or universally applied over the globe. And the other aspect of the regional analysis is the thematic approach, wherein you use a common theme to identify, compare the various regions. So these two are not distinct, but they are complementary. This in their various forms actually developed later as regional geography and systematic geography. But then though they may appear to be distinct and they have their own proponents, their own domains, but they are in practice actually complementary to each other, because it is the regional geography which provides the raw material by which general laws are made, but these general laws again re-illuminate the regional, specific regional aspect to understand that particular region much better by way of an approach what is called as the comparative approach, which has come because of an in-depth knowledge of the various regions to the systematic geography. The development of geography as a European science dates back to 1769 when Captain Cook first entered the Pacific, and within a span of 10 years he charted the entire world's coastlines, and after his voyages so much of information, very accurate and very objective kind of analytical information was generated. These voyages were followed by a few more voyages which brought in a huge amount of data, accurate and objectively analyzed. So this enabled two kind of approaches during that time. One was the classification approach pioneered by the Swedish botanist Linnaeus, and this was very popular during those days, and this classification also helped to the data to be analyzed and structured the way each domain or subject wanted. And the other approach was the comparative approach. So both these approaches help geography to reach its zenith because of acquiring accurate, systematic and comparative data. So this also led to geography being established as a separate individual science, because now it could show that the analysis or the regional analysis or the systematic study that was being made had actually stood the test of time. R.D. Dixit observes a few very interesting facts in his book, that is Humboldt was born when Captain Cook first entered the Pacific, and Ritter was born when Cook completed his voyages and died, and both Humboldt and Ritter died when the famous book of The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin was released. The Humboldt and Carl Ritter took the best of the advantages of the voyages. They culled out all the important information and the analytics, and ensured that the geographic knowledge spread throughout uniformly and coherently. While Humboldt did it ecologically, Ritter did it regionally and systematically. So this is how Humboldt and Ritter took the discipline of geography to dizzy heights because of the information available through these voyages. But in spite of all that which Humboldt and Ritter did, one thing they missed out was the key provided by Charles Darwin to the nature. They somehow could not get on to that, and it remained always unsolved as far as Humboldt and Carl Ritter were concerned with reference to the evolutionary concepts which the Charles Darwin has propounded. It's more than a century now since Charles Darwin died, but still those evolutionary concepts are still very relevant and very prevalent as you see the interrelations between time and space. The scientific revolution coincided with the upheavals of social and educational after the Industrial Revolution, which eventually led to compartmentalization of departments and setting up of heads of the departments in geography. So this is the stage where geography was fully established as an independent subject with the head of the department. During this time, kind of a humanistic approach to geography was also slowly emerging, and sociology and historical studies revealed some kind of emerging trends in the civilizations from savagery to culture. So much so that the supposed superiority of the European powers over the Asian, African, and to an extent Americans proved to be totally false. And at this stage, the European elite were taken aback and also shocked, so much so that it was proven studies that the vocabulary of the working men in the East London much less compared to the Melanesian islanders. But we should not forget that though geography got established as a separate branch, as an individual scientific branch of study, but this establishment of geography as an individual branch, independent field of inquiry, was strongly tied up with the expansionist and imperialistic views of the Europeans, because they largely use geography to understand the non-European land so that they can better control, better manage, and better imperialistically have a strong hold on them. So this part of the geography is something which it has indirectly helped geography during the war, so they got very good funding, and it was seen as a very scientific subject, and it get finally and firmly established. This is also the time when the quantitative revolution in geography took up, backed by adequate funding. And also, on the other hand, there was the advent of computers and also the starting of the satellite imagery, etc. So all this rolled into a ball and actually helped geography firmly established as a scientific discipline, and that continued for a long time, though at some stages the radicalization the behavioral revolutions also happened at a later stage. The present core or the present researchers of geography take the human geography as a concept of consensus, which has thought to have been arisen out of conflicting ideas, approaches, and perspectives. But in the end, each of these perspectives contributing something valuable in better understanding and comprehending the man-environment relationship, and in the process involving much better tools for the service of the society. So guys, that's all the evolution of geography as a discipline over the years. So I'm sure you got the hang of it. We'll keep revising. I'll keep releasing a series of videos on various topics on geographical thought, so that the idea of releasing the videos is that it has a repetitive value. Sometimes students find it boring to repeatedly read the book same time, and so this can help you. You can just plug in and keep listening to it, and we can keep interacting on it. So guys, that's all for this video. We'll catch up soon.